Coming in at a number 10 spot, we have the Mega Piranha. Now you might think this just looks like a regular piranha, but no, this is actually the Mega Piranha, and it's way scarier than you think. Mega Piranha is a giant fish that lived 10 million years ago, and it grew up to 3 feet long. What's unique about it is that it had not one, but 2 rows of teeth, unlike modern piranhas. Scientists estimate that its bite could also be as high as 4,700 neutrons, which is more than twice as hard as a hippo's bite. So all you gotta think about is those hippo videos where you have them crushing a full watermelon. Well, this fish can do double. And for more perspective, the average human bite is only 400 newtons compared to this 7,000. Mega Piranha lived during the late Miocene period in what is now South America. These prehistoric predators were much larger than their modern relatives and could weigh up to 20 pounds. So you could only imagine coming face to face with one of these juiced up piranhas. Let's just all be glad they're all extinct. At a number 9 spot, we have the short-faced bear. This is the short-faced bear, also known as Arctodus. This massive bear first appeared in the fossil records 1.8 million years ago, and it's just amazing to think that they survived all the way up until just 11,000 years ago, which is a pretty close call for humans, and thank God we didn't have to come face to face with these creatures. One specimen found weighed a whopping 2,100 pounds, and when they stood up on their hind legs, they could reach up to 12 feet tall. As well, their vertical arm reach extended up to a further 14 feet. So basically, this is like coming across an oversized, overweight grizzly bear that has the same reach as Giannis Antetokounmpo. Pretty terrifying, right? At a number 8 spot, we have the Titanoboa. A silent hunter once roamed deep in the South American jungle known as the Titanoboa. The Titanoboa snake was unlike any other animal in history, a true giant amongst predators. With its massive size and incredible strength, it was the undisputed ruler of the prehistoric jungle 60 million years ago. The death of the giant reptiles left a vacuum at the top of the food chain, and Titanoboa gladly stepped up to the plate. This prehistoric species grew up to 50 feet in length and weighed as much as 2,500 pounds. That's as long as a semi-trailer you see on highways and about twice as heavy as a polar bear. So yeah, pretty terrifying. At its thickest point, Titanoboa was 3 feet wide, which is longer than a human arm. At our number 7 spot, we have the saber-toothed tiger. Here is the saber-toothed tiger. I mean, who hasn't heard of this beast? It's literally one of the main characters in Ice Age movies. But let's get real here. This is not a creature you want to mess around with, and we should all be glad they are extinct. These creatures could reach up to 8 feet long and weigh in a whopping 660 pounds. And those fangs, that's where they get their name from, could be roughly 7 to 12 inches long. So it's really no wonder they were apex predators during their time. Did you know that they were not actually tigers at all? They're actually part of a group of prehistoric cats called the Smilodon. And while they may have been fierce predators, they have also some interesting social behaviors. Scientists have uncovered evidence that suggests that they may have lived in family groups and even cared for their young. While they may have not been the fastest runners, they were definitely strong enough to bring down the prey with one powerful bite. So could you imagine if these creatures were still around today? I don't know about you, but I think Mike Tyson would have owned one of these in his prime. At a number 6 spot, we have Dinosuchus. Just when you thought crocodiles were already terrifying enough, we have a giant prehistoric crocodile known as a Dinosuchus. Dinosuchus, meaning terror crocodile, was a giant crocodilian that roamed the earth around 72 to 82 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period. This prehistoric creature was likely one of the most terrifying predators of its time, and its discovery is shedding new light on the ancient world of dinosaurs. The Dinosuchus had teeth the size of bananas, which were perfect for crushing bones of large prey such as other dinosaurs. Paleontologists have found evidence of Dinosuchus bite marks on a number of fossil bones, including those of theropod dinosaurs, hadrosaurs, and even turtles. The bite marks were indicative of the ferocity of this animal, and scientists theorize that the creature likely used a technique known as the death roll to take down its prey. And you know, this method is still used by alligators and crocodiles today. To hunt, these creatures would lie in wait in shallow waters at the edge of the sea. And when an unsuspecting dinosaur came to take a drink, the Dinosuchus would drag them into the water and proceed to tear them apart with its powerful jaws. What makes Dinosuchus particularly interesting is that it outweighed even the largest theropod dinosaurs at its time, making it the chief predator in its ecosystem and possibly the largest crocodilian ever known. Imagine it still lurked our waters. In the hump of our list, we have the Anthroplora. Are you afraid of little centipedes? Well, you're gonna hate this guy. Introducing the Anthroplora. Anthropleura was a giant millipede that lived during the late Carboniferous period around 299 to 318 million years ago. It is considered one of the largest land invertebrates of all time, with some species reaching up to 2.5 meters in length and over 30 centimeters in width. It had a segmented body that was covered in a hard exoskeleton, which protected it from predators. Each segment of its body had 2 pairs of legs, giving it an impressive total of about 236 legs. It likely moved by undulating its body in a wave-like motion, using its many legs to crawl over the forest floor. Fortunately for all the meaty animals, Anthropleura was a herbivore, and probably fed on the lush vegetation that existed during this period, such as club mosses, ferns, and horsetails. At number 4 spot, we have the terror birds. Imagine racing across the vast Argentinian plains and you see a strange feathery bird towering over you. As you walk up to it, you see it pecking its prey to death with a hooked beak mounted on a head as big as a horse's. These were the terror birds, the most dominant flightless bird ever to exist. And let me tell you, they truly lived up to their name. These creatures were not only tall, 10 feet to be exact, but were also fast and fierce, embodying the power of their predatory dinosaur relatives before them. The terror birds were the only line of carnivorous flightless birds ever to exist. Luckily, these specimens were kept in the Cenozoic era some 62 million years ago. But if you wanted to imagine these, just imagine an overgrown ostrich with a beak that could literally crush your skull. At number 3 spot, we have the Eclipterus. 3 words, giant sea scorpion. Or 4 words, less tasty looking lobster. That's right, this 8-foot looking arthropod lived in the water and had pincher claws. Many of them looked eerily similar to the face huggers from the Alien movie franchise. They are pure nightmare fuel. Eclipters had segmented bodies with multiple specialized limbs, some with spikes. They had spring-loaded claws to snatch a fish as they passed by, with the largest having an 8-inch spike claw. Smaller sea scorpions are known to have crawled ashore to mate and even shed their outer skin. Imagine finding the molt of one of these monsters on the shore just before going swimming. Already, with a sense of dread and paranoia, you distance yourself from the shore, and then you see a shadow in the murky waters. At number 2 spot, we have the emerald jewel wasp. The emerald jeweled wasp has the ability to turn cockroaches into zombies. Yup, you heard that right. The wasp manipulation of the cockroach is a truly remarkable but very horrifying process. These wasps reproduce by stinging a cockroach and paralyzing it with its venom. The first sting targets the first thoracic ganglion, which is part of the central nervous system. This paralyzes the front legs of the cockroach, then the wasp delivers a second sting, this time targeting the brain of the cockroach. The stings aren't meant to kill, but to give the wasp control over the cockroach, turning it into its own zombie. The wisp then bites off the head of its antennas, and then it leads a half-paralyzed, brain-dead cockroach along by these antennas, using it as a lead towards its burrow. Inside the burrow, it lays eggs inside of the roach in a place known as the coxal plate, then buries it alive. While in its tomb, the larvae will hatch from within the cockroach, and over a period of a week, they'll begin to feed off of its still alive cockroach from the inside. Once it's done eating, it will eventually burst out of the cockroach in a manner very reminiscent of the famous scene from the movie Alien. Coming in at a number 1 spot, we have the Basilosaurus. When we see whales now, we see them as gentle giants, but back in the prehistoric times, these large creatures had very terrifying teeth. This animal was the Basilosaurus, a prehistoric whale that lived between 40 to 34 million years ago during the late Eocene period. The name Basilosaurus, which means king lizard in Greek, is fitting for this formidable creature. Measuring up to 70 feet in length and weighing between 10 to 15 tons, the Basilosaurus was one of the largest marine animals of its time. Its body structure, more eel-like than whale-like, caused initial confusion among scientists and earned it the name sea serpent. Basilosaurus also possessed a unique physical feature with its blowhole located on its snout, unlike the more primitive whales that had it at the tip of their snouts, or the modern whales and dolphins that have it located between or behind the eyes. But the worst thing is that these creatures were the very top predator in their environments. They basically preyed on sharks and all other types of other predatory fish. And the reason why this is known is because some of these animals are found with the bite marks of this creature.
Number 10, Dunkleosteus. This 33-foot long armored fish from the Devonian era lacked teeth, but its jaw contained razor-sharp protrusions of bone that it could use to pierce and cut through its prey. These bones grew continuously continuously, and as they did, the edges rubbed together with those of the opposing jaw, acting like self-sharpening shears. This would ensure the fangs were always ready to chomp into armored prey like arthropods, ammonites, and other fish. This 4-ton monster fish patrolled inshore waters and could snatch up prey by opening and closing its jaws within 50 to 60 milliseconds. If this thing came back nowadays, they'd probably make fishing the most dangerous profession in the world, along with our next entry. Number 9. Helicoprion. The mystery of this bizarre fish starts with a weird fossil and numerous attempts to figure out what it was and how to classify it. Helicoprion puzzled paleontologists and ichthyologists for over a century. The only remains of this creature up until 2013 were from a fossilized whorl of teeth. While most scientists agreed that the teeth belonged to the lower jaw, that didn't prevent the presumed location of the teeth from migrating around the body in sometimes fanciful arrangements that can be used in numerous illustrations and reconstructions. With the later discovery of some portions of a jaw, the location of its buzzsaw-like teeth were definitely determined to fill the lower jaw. Strangely, there were no upper teeth, so this creature could terrifyingly gum and bite you at the same time. The jaw would close, rotating the teeth backwards, much like a circular blade saw. It probably fed on the soft bodies of squid and other cephalopods. The whorl of teeth was formed as they continuously grew outwards, creating a spiral as it aged. The teeth at the beginning of the whorl being small and gradually increasing in size toward the end. Another fish with an equally odd and terrifying face, Edestus, had offset scissor-like jaws that protrude out of its face. No thank you. Number 8. Arthropleura. This is not something you want to see crawling around anywhere near you. Arthropleura was an 8.5 foot long millipede from the Carboniferous era, and though it was herbivorous, likely feeding on dead plant matter like modern millipedes, it still has scare factor. I'm burning the house down if I find this under my sink. Just because it won't try to eat you doesn't prevent it from being creepy while it scuttles about. Ugh. Fossil trackways have been discovered showing that Arthropleura could move and maneuver quickly, undulating hundreds of legs in rhythm to nauseate and disturb anyone watching. These are the largest known land invertebrates of all time, and it is unlikely that they had any predators, but it could probably rear up into a defensive posture and look you straight in the eyes. Number 7. Leviathan melvillei. This extinct whale was named for both the monstrous sea creature Leviathan from the Old Testament, that when he rises up the mighty are terrified, they retreat before his thrashing, and for Herman Melville, the author of the novel Moby Dick, a tale of an accursed white whale that terrorized Captain Ahab and eventually brought about his passing and the destruction of his ship and crew. This is an amazing namesake to live up to. The Leviathan melvillei is related to modern sperm whales like Moby Dick, and lived during the Miocene epoch. It was 45 to 57 feet long and had a 10-foot long skull that housed 40 14.5 inch long teeth. These are the longest teeth used for feeding known from any animal extinct or alive. They fed on large prey at the surface of the water, including other whales. This whale likely became so large because it was competing directly with Megalodon for food, who we'll get to a little bit later. Number 6. Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus is one of the most spectacular and horrible creatures that ever stalked the earth. It had an elongated skull, much like a crocodile, and a snout filled with approximately 64 straight conical teeth. Evidence suggests that it was a semi-aquatic, so there was nowhere to escape this fish and dinosaur-devouring monster. Spinosaurus is currently the largest of all known carnivorous dinosaurs, even larger than T-Rex and Gigantosaurus. While the exact size is debated, recent finds and studies suggest that Spinosaurus may have been 41 to 59 feet in length and weighed in excess of 20 tons. It had elongated neural spines that ran along its back, creating a sail-like structure that made it look even larger and more terrifying. Number 5. Titanoboa. For those of you with ophidiophobia, this one's for you. Titanoboa was a 42-foot long snake that lived during the Paleocene epoch. It likely hunted much like crocodiles do, lurking, partially submerged at the water's edge so that it could ambush thirsty, unsuspecting animals. It would strike from the water and wrap itself around its prey, delivering a crushing demise. It lived in the rainforests of South America, where temperatures were warmer, and the tropics of today. This allowed the cold-blooded reptiles to grow larger than modern reptiles can. This snake would have Indiana Jones doing the Scooby-Doo and Shaggy run. Like sawing Scoob. Number 4. Gigantosaurus. Gigantosaurus was 43 feet long and larger than the size of a Tyrannosaurus rex, but only by 3 feet. It had a 5.2 foot long skull with 64 8-inch long compressed and serrated teeth that were made for slicing through flesh, though they were not capable of crushing bone like the teeth of the Tyrannosaurus. Gigantosaurus is from the Cretaceous period and lived in what is now Argentina. It was related to the nearly equally sized Carcharodontosaurus from Africa. Evidence suggests the possibility that Gigantosaurus was a pack hunter and that they hunted large sauropods. This would make it the only theropod that actively hunted sauropods. Another interesting feature is that the lower jaw was broadened slightly, allowing it to handle smaller prey. It's easy to imagine Gigantosaurus chomping down on some flesh of some goofy bipedal mammals if it had ever been given the chance. Number 3. Megalodon. This 59-foot long shark lived and hunted in the same waters as Livyatan melville. It had massive 7-foot wide jaws containing 5 rows of around 276 compressed blade-like teeth that were made for cutting and grasping powerful prey. Sharks have skeletons made of cartilage that are not typically preserved in the fossil record, and so the jaws of the megalodon and a few traces of fossils are all paleontologists have to build their hypothesis. The body shape of a megalodon is likely similar to a larger and more robust great white shark. If a megalodon exhibited ambush hunting behavior like great white sharks, it would have taken prey by surprise from below and made precision strikes to immobilize its prey with an amazingly strong bite. Sharks are also known for shaking their prey side to side to increase bite forces. Fossil evidence of teeth marks found on whale vertebrae suggests that Megalodon was an active predator of large whales. Their teeth are built with a structure that would rarely crack even if they hit the bone. Damn, that's crazy. Number 2, Jacalopterus. 3 words, giant sea scorpion. Or 4 words, less tasty looking lobster. That's right, this 8-foot long arthropod lived in the water and had pincher claws. Frankly, all of the Eurypterids are scary as hell, and this entire video could be exclusively about how terrifying these things look. Many of them look eerily similar to the facehuggers from the Alien movie franchise. They are nightmare fuel. Jacalopterus had segmented bodies with multiple specialized limbs, some with spikes. They had spring-loaded claws to snatch up fish as they passed by, with the largest having an 18-inch spiked claw. Smaller sea scorpions are known to have crawled ashore to mate and even shed their outer skin. Imagine finding the molt of one of these monsters on the shore just before going swimming. Already with a sense of dread and paranoia, you distance yourself from the shore, and then you see a shadow in the murky waters. Number 1, Sarcosuchus. Sarcosuchus, whose literal name means flesh crocodile, gross, is an extinct genus of crocodiliform and distant relative of living crocodiles that lived during the early Cretaceous. From the late Hauterivian to the early Albian, 133 to 112 million years ago of what is now Africa and South America. The genus name comes from the Greek sarx, meaning flesh, and sochus, meaning crocodile. It was one of the largest crocodile-like reptiles, with the largest specimen of S. imperator reaching approximately 9 to 9.5 meters, or 29.5 to 31.2 feet long, and weighing up to 3.45 to 4.3 metric tons. It is known from 2 species, S. imperator from the early Albian Aoraz Formation of Niger, and S. harti from the late Hauterivian of northeastern Brazil. The first remains were discovered during several expeditions led by the French paleontologist Albert Félix de Lapparent, spanning from 1946 to 1959 in the Sahara. These remains were fragments of the skull, vertebrae, teeth, and scutes. In 1964, an almost complete skull was found in Niger by the French CEA, but it was not until 1997 and 2000 that most of its anatomy became known to science, with an expedition led by the American paleontologist Paul Sereno discovered 6 new species, including one with about half the skeleton intact and most of the spine.
Starting off this countdown at number 10, the Meg. Researchers have pinned the date of the megalodon's extinction to about 2.6 million years ago, roughly when the great white shark was just becoming established. However, a doctor pointed out that the megalodon likely lived in water no more than 200 meters deep, in and around coastal areas. We would, she says, have noticed something of the megalodon's size if it was swimming off our shores, but what if that's not where it's living? Explorers began to probe the Mariana Trench in the late 1800s using rudimentary equipment, but it was impossible to get the full picture of the trench without sending someone down. That's only happened once in history. In 1960, a researcher and US Navy lieutenant took a Navy submarine into the depths. Due to the pressure, they couldn't stay very long, but when they turned on the submarine's floodlights, they were shocked to see fish. Until then, it was thought that no creature could live in such a harsh environment. So who's to say the Meg couldn't live down there?
Over the years, reports of megalodon sightings have emerged all over the internet. A lot of them claim that these giant sharks never went extinct, that they've just been hiding in the deepest part of the ocean, the Mariana Trench.
Now at number 9, new whale. In 2016, marine biologists studying the Mariana Trench heard a strange sound of unknown origin and started recording. Although the recording is only a few seconds long, experts detected a slightly metallic quality to it, and many speculated that the noise was not natural. After months of analysis, however, the scientists believed they found the source of the noise. It's currently theorized that the sound, which marine biologists call a biotwang, is the low-frequency call of a new type of baleen whale. However, that's just one theory. Others say it's still a whale, however, it's got shark-like teeth and has mutated into something unimaginable. Here at number 8, sea devil anglerfish. If a fish has the word devil in its name, it's a safe bet that it's going to be freaky, and sea devil anglerfish does not disappoint. It features a whole list of interesting, strange characteristics. As its name strongly hints, this is a fish that would have swum up straight from hell, with its weird body, razor-like teeth, and cold death stare. Although they're bizarre and scary looking, at least they're not huge. Females generally top out at 8 inches long, and the males are much smaller, at maybe an inch long or so. As an anglerfish, the sea devil doesn't dart after its prey. Instead, it has a protrusion from its forehead that dangles a glowing lure to attract unlucky animals. With its huge gaping jaws, the sea devil can actually devour creatures larger than itself.
We believe that this is the first video footage ever made of this species alive and at depth. Eyes of this angler are quite small. In their dark habitat, anglerfish rely more on feeling the movements of other animals in the water around them than on vision. The tiny pale dots you see along the sides of the fish and on its head are organs very sensitive to the slightest movements, and they function very effectively.
Now coming in at number 7, goblin shark. The goblin shark is a rare species of shark. Its unusual and creepy appearance is often described as fossil-like. It has pink-toned skin and a distinctive snout shape. It is elongated and flat, with a protruding jaw and skinny, incredibly sharp teeth. They can grow to be about 10 to 13 feet in length, and they are rarely seen by human beings. It's still unclear what the unusual snout is for, but the older they get, the deeper they dive.
Most goblin sharks are 10 to 12 feet long, but they can grow much bigger.
Here at number 6, telescope octopus. The telescope octopus is a transparent 8-armed octopus that is almost entirely colorless. Their arms are the same size, and they are the only octopus to have tubular eyes. It is incredibly unusual to observe and was originally documented by Dr. William Evans in 1885. The octopus is a rare species, meaning there is little that scientists and the general public know about the marine creature, but it's believed to be a close relative of the glass octopus. These eyes provide a wider peripheral vision so that the octopus can see predators and prey alike. Those eyes can also rotate. Talk about scary. Halfway at number 5, fang-toothed fish. These fish could be straight out of a horror movie and are named after their scary teeth that, in relation to their body size, are the largest in the ocean. Special pouches on the roof of its mouth prevent the teeth from piercing the fish's brain when its mouth is closed. Fang-toothed fish do not have good eyesight, and they are believed to hunt by literally bumping into their prey, sensing vibrations and movement in the water. Now at number 4, deep-sea hatchetfish. There are a lot of odd-looking fish in the sea, but not many of them resemble humans' hand tools. The deep-sea hatchetfish resembles a silvery swimming hatchet. There are more than 40 species of hatchetfish. All of them have ridiculously skinny bodies, and many of them have shiny scales too, which adds to the metallic hatchet-like appearance. They are small fish and even the biggest types to grow only to about 6 inches long. Their delicate looks contradict their serious ruggedness because these fish are found in depths pushing nearly 5,000 feet. Hatchetfish have bioluminescent bodies, and they can alter the brightness of their glow depending on how much light is filtering from above. In doing so, they're counter-illuminating their bodies in a clever camouflage technique. Their dim, self-produced light reduces their silhouettes, making it much more difficult for predators to spot them from below. Now at number 3, comb jellyfish. The comb jelly is a beautiful oval-shaped animal with 8 rows of tiny comb-like plates that it beats to move itself through the water. As it swims, the comb rows break up light to produce a shimmering rainbow effect. Comb jellies are gelatinous creatures with luminous body structures as they diffract any light that falls upon them. They use their comb-like plates to move around in the water. While they please the eyesight, these underwater marvels are vicious predators, even attacking their own kind sometimes. Some may be as tiny as a few millimeters, ranging up to nearly 5 feet long.
Found around 3,000 feet down are the comb jellies. That's light refracting off thousands.
Here at number 2, frilled shark. The frilled shark was discovered in the 19th century by a German who studies fish. It is often referred to as a living fossil due to its eerie appearance and the shape of its mouth. The shark has an eel-like body that's dark brown and gray in color, and the articulation of the jaws to the head. The shark derives its name from 6 rows of frilly gills that grace its body, which grows up to 6 feet long. Just as notably, the shark wields more than 20 rows of wicked, trident-shaped teeth that will tear into any bit of flesh that passes near them. Frilled sharks probably spend most of their lives near the ocean's bottom, and they like waters more than 4,000 feet deep. On the rare occasions that people snag them and bring them up to the surface, the sharks almost always perish immediately, making it very difficult for people to observe their behavior and life cycles. For years, many people assumed that frilled sharks swam and hunted like eels. Now coming in at number 1, zombie worms. Now I know what you're thinking, oh well, how can a worm be scary? Well, let me tell you. Zombie worms are also known as osedox. The word osedox means bone eater in Latin and refers to the worm's ability to dig into and eat bones from whale carcasses. They do so in an attempt to reach lipids enclosed in the bone. They use special root tissues for bone burrowing. So if you ever come near one of these things, I suggest getting as far away as possible.
At a number 10 spot, we have La Pata Sola. Deep in the Amazon River lies a deceiving and a vicious demon. Their name is La Pata Sola, or 1 foot, due to having 1 amputated leg. But don't be deceived by their disability. This wilderness demon has the ability to shapeshift into a beautiful damsel in distress. She will lure male victims deep into the jungle, and only there will she transform into this 1 foot creature before devouring them into many, many pieces. The legend has many variations. In one, she is a mother who took her son's life and banished into the forest. In another, she was a manipulative wife who had an affair, and when the husband found out, he proceeded to take her life while chopping off one of her legs with an axe. If you're a girl, she really has no reason to go after you, but it's still recommended to watch out for a lonely girl who has a hooked nose, big lips, and tangled hair when you go to Colombia's various mountains, forests, and other remote areas. I wish I could tell you guys to watch the live movie on this creature, but... At a number 9 spot, we have El Cibon. Just north of the Amazon rainforest lies a tropical grassland known as Los Llanos. And if you happen to be taking a hike and hear a distant whistle, your fate has already been doomed. This whistle is from the restless spirit known as El Cibon, or Whistler Man when translated. He is reported to be a 3-meter tall creature wearing farmer clothes and holding a giant brown bag. As mentioned, his whistle is the signal of death. In other instances, he appears on people's doorways, unloading while counting bones straight out of his bag, and if a person dares to stop his counting, he will go after their entire family. Legend goes that he became this malevolent spirit after he murdered his own father. He then fled to the wilderness and passed away from starvation. From there, his spirit now stalks the grasslands and attacks any drunk or lost person who happens to be in his way. So on your next visit, be sure to whistle on your hikes to scare the living hell out of anyone. At number 8 spot, we have Juan Machete. This legend talks about one of the most powerful men in the region at the time, and he went by the name of Juan Francisco Ortiz. To become one of the most powerful men, it was said that he made a pact with the devil where he traded his wife and his children for a lot of money, cattle, and land. The devil then commanded Juan to conduct a ritual where he would grab a toad and a hen. He would then sew up their eyes and then bury them on Good Friday at exactly 12 at night. Once that was finished, the devil appeared just before him and said, quote, "The pact is made until the day I decide." As expected, his life prospered for years, but as with all deals with the devil, devil, it ended off horribly. After years of good luck and fortune, his happiness slowly faded away as he already got everything he wanted in life except for love. From his depressive state, he went into the forest with all of his fortune and buried himself alive. Now Juan Machete is said to lurk deep in the woods of Macarena, who is constantly looking to attack anyone who comes close to his buried treasure. At our number 7 spot, we have El Sobron. Otherwise known as Colombia's boogeyman, El Sobron, which translates to the big hat, and it's no surprise why he's named that. He is also known as the Black Rider for wearing all black while riding a black horse, and behind this horse are 2 fierce black dogs that are bound by these huge chains, waiting to be released to devour anyone who dares to cross their path. Those fortunate to survive an encounter with El Sobron described him as a skeleton covered by this enormous hat. He is known to attack anyone who runs into him, but he prefers to go after men without honor, which includes the drunks, the gambling addicts, or the cheaters. At number 6 spot, we have Los Llanos. Los Llanos, or La Llorona, directly translates to the weeping woman, which perfectly describes the behavior of this malevolent spirit. She appears as a lost woman who is carrying a child through the Colombian streets at night. She's seen wearing a dirty white gown that covers her face and screams for help to lure victims into her grasp. From there, she will offer the baby to the victim, where the infant will place a curse, turning the victim into La Llorona next. This legend varies as this spirit is a part of many different Latino and Hispanic cultures in all sorts of places in North and South America. Some say that she was a former wife who found out that her husband was cheating. In a rage, she took her own life. Others state that she was a jealous woman who took the lives of her children because she lost her own tragically. Regardless of the story, if you hear a weeping girl in the middle of the night, don't try to be a superhero. Call for help and play with your surroundings. Last thing you want to see is this. Pop-up warning. At the hump of our list, we have La Tonda. In Colombia's Pacific Ocean coastlines lies an ugly, monstrous witch who snatches unbaptized babies, naughty children, and unfaithful husbands, and takes them to the mountains to make them their lovers. La Tonda appears at first as a concerned mother who is just asking for help, and as people follow her deeper and deeper into the mountain, she slowly shapeshifts into this ugly, deformed woman who reeks of death. As mentioned, her victims are kept into the mountains where they'll be kept as slave lovers, and the only way to break out of her trance is to get a priest or relatives of the victim and play noise in the forest like drums. This will cause La Tunda to run away, causing the victim to break free out of the trance. At a number 4 spot, we have La Bola de Fuego. This is said to be the spirit of a vicious, grumpy old lady. So it goes that she was in charge of taking care of her grandchildren, but from the start she failed to teach them any sort of manners or moral principles. So after years, they would grow up to steal, assault, and even murder. So when the lady passed away, she was cursed to travel around the globe surrounded in flames. Another variation of the story talks about a woman who was burned alive along with her 2 children, and this caused her to be this malevolent spirit ball. I don't know. Now the spirit is completely engulfed in flames and it's reported to be about 2 meters in diameter. Witnesses claimed it appeared to them as an extremely bright lantern that was shaking violently. In the Philippines, there are stories of these glowing balls chasing after people until they passed away, so this one hits close to home. At number 3 spot, with El Mohan. He's described as a stout man with a sunburned face, long hair, and piercing eyes. Don't know about you, but he kind of looks like a Neanderthal looking figure with his large hands and feet, but he also has these long nails that he uses as sharp claws. And let me tell you, he is a woman lover, woman persuader. His whole purpose is to pursue women. He does this by tricking women with his deceiving charm and various luxuries including gold rings, bracelets, and gems. His victims are manipulated and then taken to the mountains where he resides in the series of cave systems within. Aside from snatching women, he is also known for stealing bait hooks and scaring away fish, stopping local fishermen from coming home with a good catch of the day. El Mohan is said to be the main culprit to the disappearance of women who were last spotted near the rivers that are close to caves, and it's said that when someone drowned, it's because El Mohan did it. At number 2 spot, we have La Mohana. If you live in Cartagena de Indias, beware of La Mohana, otherwise known as the Mohana. In other iterations, she is referred to as a mother of water. She appears as a woman with golden hair who lives underwater in a house made of stone. This is a shape-shifting spirit that acts like sirens in a way, where she would lure victims either from being a damsel in distress or just a concerned woman looking for help. As sirens are, their preferred victims are men, where they would lure them with seduction. When the men get too close, she screams loud as she pulls them underwater, where she'll proceed to drown them. Story goes that in Cartagena de la Colonia, a woman lived there with her husband and her son, and ever since La Moana has become the mother of water and hates men. I mean, this one is the only one that truly makes sense to me. At our number 1 spot, we have Mula retinta. So this is a mule. Okay, now let's just make this mule dark and evil, and we have Mula retinta. This mule appears to people who happen to be transporting goods along Colombia's various paths. Once it's used to transport goods, it's said to cause a series of bad luck, which ranges from strong winds, storms, and sometimes it purposely takes the life of the other animals in the pack. These mules are reported in the Ardean region, which is a very mountainous region known for having very high and dangerous paths along the mountain. Regardless of whether or not you're transporting goods, just seeing this dark mule is a bad omen of death. And if you're trekking through this area, be prepared to stop, as this spirit will not allow you to pass it until it accompanies you. Never thought a mule could be this bad, but I guess these scary urban legends teach me that anything is possible. Starting our list right, at number 10, we have Siren Head uses mimicry to hunt. A YouTuber by the name of X71N was filming while venturing through a creepy forest somewhere in Saudi Arabia where he lives. You can hear a distinct North American emergency broadcast, which is fairly odd since it wasn't the native language of the area. While the YouTuber was trying to figure out what made that sound, he would spot many different patches of blood on the ground and on the rocks. This is exactly what Siren Head wanted. He used a foreign broadcast to lure the victim, and when the victim was close, Siren Head showcases artwork of blood to horrify the victim, causing them to panic. Then, we can see the YouTuber encountering Siren Head only to be chased away. As the person hid for their life, they found out another feature about the Siren Head. Siren Head is able to mimic the language of those near. Siren Head is shown to be speaking the native language of the area, which is Arabic, most likely to disorient and confuse the victim before taking it away with no trace. I guess you could say Siren Head is bilingual. Someone get this guy a translator job already. This is one for the history books. At number 9, we have Siren Head has always been here. Siren Head is said not to only be an entity of lore and creepypastas, but a part of our own history. Throughout North America, caves are being uncovered with ancient cave paintings resembling Siren Head. The cave drawings show an entity exactly the same as the one we know today, literally one-for-one model. Tall but thin creature with siren as the head. These paintings showed Siren Head in battles with ancient humans, potentially showing that it has always been hostile and dangerous. The weird thing about this is that it shows the sirens on their head making sounds, which is odd because they would have no idea what a siren was, nor what they functioned for. So here's a weird theory. Maybe our idea of a siren originated from these cave paintings, but we'll never know. So I guess we gotta dig up some Siren Head fossils. Just when you thought it couldn't get worse, at number 8 we have Siren Head can evolve to a multi-headed or mega horn Siren Head. Sharing the similar characteristics as a normal Siren Head, the multi-headed and mega horn Siren Head are an advanced and evolved version of Siren Head. The multi-headed Siren Head variant has more than 2 sirens as its head, hence the name. What sets them apart from a regular Siren Head is that they send out loud, high decibel screeching noises, enough to blow a person's brains away. To become this variant, Siren Head would need to consume humans frequently, as they would use them to supply the flesh inside more sirens. On the other hand, the Megahorn Siren Head is known to be the destroyer of all Siren Heads. This is because this variant of the Siren Head is a result of cannibalism. So apart from hunting humans and animals, they also hunt their own. So I really don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. This is how a Megahorn Siren Head would sound like. Sounds like an angel, right? The Megahorn Siren Head is different in the sense that it doesn't walk upright, but moves around like a spider. with many people mistaking it as a large spider. Just when we thought the siren head alone was a menace, its evolved versions really just want to watch the world burn. Taking our number 7 spot, we have superhero abilities. If we were to just hear about some of Siren Head's powers and abilities, you would think I'm talking about all the characters in the Marvel Universe. However, this is by no means close to a superhero, more like a supervillain. Just to list a few, Siren Head has super strength, showing that he can overpower any human, with reports of breaking down trees like they are twigs. It is also very fast, and was reported to chase down cars with unimaginable speeds. Siren Head's durability is supposedly on another level, enduring countless skirmishes with humans, spears, swords, and battles with other stronger supernatural creatures. You must be thinking, is there no weakness to Siren Head? Yes, but not really. He's afraid of cartoon cats, but not like the cuddly huggy type, but more of the demonic shape-shifting type. But as we see in every superhero movie, every villain has its weaknesses. Siren Head is shown time and time again to be this ever so strong monster, and it really makes me think that we would need a full army of soldiers to take it down. Coming in at number 6, we have Siren Head uses different sounds strategically. Siren Head is reported to make many different sounds. For some, it may be an emergency broadcast, and for others, it may be their loved ones talking. All of Siren Head's sounds are used for specific purposes with the end goal to lure and hunt victims away. For example, there are reports saying that Siren Head would use the voices of loved ones and cries for help to give victims a sense of urgency to investigate. Others report saying that Siren Head would use loud screeches and air raid sirens to scare people away from it. The use of sound is very important to Siren Head. This is basically what gives it the name in the first place. Then if that wasn't so bad, some more evolved versions of Siren Head are reported to play such sounds that it could quite literally rupture eardrums and in some cases blow a victim's head off. I don't know about you, but earplugs will definitely be an essential when I go out to the woods next time. Right in the hump of our list, we have Siren Head lurks in all forests. Similar to a fellow monster, Slenderman, Siren Head is mainly found in the woods. This is not limited to only North American forests. Siren Head is international, just like Pitbull, aka Mr. Worldwide. Siren Head is able to utilize his lanky appearance by blending into tall trees. The denser the forest, the more hiding spots Siren Head has to play in. Because as victims enter the woods, they pay less attention to the trees as there are just too many to notice, which makes the Siren Head disguise perfect for trapping and hunting people. Siren Head can also stay motionless for days at a time, blending in with its surroundings as if it was natural. As well, Siren Head's main ability to play sounds is especially useful in the wilderness. When sounds play in the woods, the source of the sound is usually up for mystery since sound echoes through the forest, leaving victims confused and disoriented. This kinda sucks because next time I go into the woods, I'm gonna be looking at every single tree like a tree expert to determine if one of them could be Siren Head. Taking our number 4 spot, we have Siren Head hunts for fun. Siren Head is definitely confirmed to have hunted humans, but the purpose seems to be unknown. The only confirmed reason for killing humans is to increase the number of sirens on their head, which should make them a multi-headed Siren Head. Other than that, there is no confirmed nutritional value that comes with eating humans. This brings me to the conclusion that Siren Head hunts for sport. They use sneaky and deceptive ways to hunt humans, such as mimicking, disorienting through sound, and transformation, which all sound like fun ways to play with prey before devouring them. I know if I was hunting for sport, I would definitely not make it easy for myself, but instead do things to spook and confuse the victim first. All the way at our number 3 spot, we have blind but can see everything. How can a blind creature be able to see the things that Siren Head can? Well, Reddit user The Retail Red Shirt said in a post that Siren Head uses echolocation to find where its prey is and where they're going to go. This would explain how they're able to be aware of their surroundings at all times. Just like bats, echolocation is used to emit a sound wave that bounces off an object, returning an echo that provides information about the object's distance and size. This would also explain why they're known to avoid big cities, as the sounds are much different than in a forest. It would explain how they're able to distinguish animals apart, especially humans in which they prey on. And better yet, the Reddit user also mentioned that Siren Head emits white noise while sleeping, saying it is an evolutionary adaptation to avoid getting killed or hunted. Next time I hear any sounds in the woods, I'm getting straight out regardless if it even is a wild animal. Call me paranoid. An eerie story takes our number 2 spot. That's Not My Mom. In 1978, a young girl named Catherine went missing after she heard strange noises coming from the woods behind her house. Her sister said Catherine heard the voice of her mother calling to her, but something about this voice sounded distorted and wrong. Upon looking into the woods, they saw a tall humanoid figure with 2 siren speakers with human mouths inside. This is just another one of Siren Head's abilities to play the voices of his victims' families to lure them in. This was apparently one of the first original sightings of Siren Head. I just hope if we all hear our mom in the middle of the woods at night, we won't start investigating and end up like the first victim in all horror movies. Securing our number 1 spot, we have Siren Head has enemies other than humans. No, we are not talking about coyotes or wolves. Siren Head has enemies that are on a different level than us humans. Siren Head's most notorious enemies include Longhorse and Cartoon Cat. Let's talk about Longhorse first. Unlike Siren Head, Longhorse is a sort of a hero in the realm of creepypasta beasts and monsters. He appears with a horse skull without a jaw for a head. His neck extended almost infinitely, it seems, causing uncertainty with how large it really is. He's a hero in a sense that he cares for humans, even going as far as being a protector and warning us of future disasters. Longhorse can break physics by its ability to teleport and levitate, which could be credited to its infinity neck. His other enemy, Cartoon Cat, is, as the name implies, a literal cartoon of a cat. However, this cat would not be your normal fluff ball. This cat was a tall, slender creature that could shapeshift to any shape of its liking. It was also immortal, and better yet, it had no apparent weaknesses like Siren Head. It's considered to be the most evil and dangerous creature of all. These two different creatures are said to be fighting the Siren Head, but after finding out the type of creatures they are, it's best to believe that humans are just baby food to Siren Head. Number 10, we have the Dark Watchers of California. The St. Lucia Mountains, or the St. Lucia Range, is a rugged mountain range located in the coastal area of Central California. For many years, people have looked up at these tall peaks and spotted tall, cloaked figures looking down at them, and in a blink of an eye, they are gone. These 7 to 15 feet tall mystical entities stand motionless, wearing only a black cloak and broad-brimmed hats. Sightings were reported all the way back from the 1700s when the Spanish had just arrived on the land and noticed these tall, dark watchers on the mountain. Despite these entities not doing any physical harm, they are always watching, making people in the area feel worried and scared of the feeling of not being alone. Some have said that the Dark Watchers are a group of migrants stuck on the mountain, while others believe that they are there to warn people of the danger ahead or in their future. Regardless, if you see these guys, your hike is probably going to end up a lot worse. Number 9, a snallygaster. Don't be deceived by the odd name. This creature is one of the most confusing and terrifying creatures I've ever mentioned ever. Said to have resided in Frederick County, the snallygaster is a dragon-like beast that is described as a half reptile and half bird that lives deep in the caves of South Mountain. Apart from its eye-popping looks, the beast is said to be responsible for stealing and eating farm animals and even children. The creature would be a silent killer and would swoop down from the skies before you would even realize. The snallygaster would consume its victims by first draining all of its blood before taking it to its lair to consume later. The last sighting in Frederick County occurred in March 1909 when 3 men fought the creature outside a railroad station for nearly an hour and a half before chasing it into the woods of Carroll County. However, who knows if this really went down, because I believe a creature of this caliber can easily take out 3 humans, but maybe that's just me. At number 8, we have Alti. In southeastern Georgia, along the 137-mile-long Altamaha River, some say a gigantic sea monster is lurking in the depths, with reports dating back since the 1800s. Alti, or by its original name, Altamaha, is a river sea monster that was first devoured by Captain Delano of the schooner Eagle. He described the creature being 70 feet long, with a circumference the size of a barrel and the head resembling an alligator. Reports of the creature started to amass, with every description describing it as a 20 to 30 feet long sturgeon-like fish, but in my opinion, this thing looks like a distant relative to the Loch Ness Monster. Don't you guys see it? Over the years, there were many sightings of Alti, and they remain consistent in their descriptions. Then more recently, a video by Jeff Warren shared an unknown creature that could resemble Alti, but you guys be the judge of that. Number 7, Pedro Mountain Mummy. The Shoshone Indians of Wyoming believed in a race of tiny people and said they were responsible for the deaths of their comrades with the use of poisonous arrows. They described this race of people to stand from 20 inches to 3 feet tall, and they gave them the name Nemirier. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. These people were known to be very hostile, not only to the natives, but to their own kind as well. It was said that they would take the life of their own people if they became too sick and couldn't help the community anymore. So basically, if you're old here, you're gone. After years and years, there has been no solid evidence for these little people until 1932. A 14-inch fully formed mummy was found in the San Pedro Mountains near Casper, Wyoming. When they examined the object, they confirmed that it did have real human remains, although it was unclear if it was a native child or this race of little people. Eventually, the mummy would be passed on through different people, but all of them had one thing in common. They would be faced with bad luck as long as they possessed the mummy, which led many to believe it was cursed. Number 6, Torch Lake Monster. The tale of the Torch Lake Monster dates back in the 1960s and 70s. Obviously, it takes place in Torch Lake, which is located in the North Michigan and is also their second largest lake in the state. A fisherman and coach by the name of Dave Foley is credited with spotting the creature first and telling stories of it since he worked by the lake for a while. Legend goes that the giant creature has a lizard's body, the head of a cat, 1 brown and 1 blue eyes, along with slimy green skin. The lake is approximately 285 feet deep, which makes what's lying underneath much more scarier and worrisome. Nighttime is when this creature is said to arise from the depths. At this time, many swimmers and boats go missing, only to wash ashore with no evidence of his demise. In the Hubber list, we have Richmond Vampire. Originating in the state of Virginia, this is not your ordinary vampire story. Instead, in 1925, the Churchill train tunnel collapsed with workers still inside. This was a tragedy for all on board because if you didn't pass away, you were badly injured. So surprisingly, in the wreckage, a bloody man appeared with jagged teeth and skin hanging off his bones. Everyone had thought it was just a mere survivor of the incident, but here's where it gets kind of weird. As it got closer to the man quickly jumped and ran away to the nearby Hollywood cemetery, and he disappeared into the mausoleum within. They then say the vampire still inhabits the cemetery grounds, which has led many satanic and cult groups to visit and attempt to summon the vampire once again. Number 4, Albatwitch. In the forest of Columbia, Pennsylvania is a 4-foot tall hairy creature known as Albatwitch. Their name is just short for apple snitch, since they are known to be snatching apples left and right. People who walk near along the Susquehanna River claim to have these small creatures violently throw apples at them as they've tried to push them away from their homes. Their homes are said to be on top of treetops where they would only come down to gather apples. These hairy humanoids are often mistaken as Bigfoot children since they are often reported in the area as well. What if these guys are actually Bigfoot children? This would explain their small stature at least. Number 3, the Nain Rouge. It's said that since the city of Detroit was founded in Michigan, bad luck has befallen the area. This is all because of the devilish red imp known as Nain Rouge, and it's said that he cursed the entire city. Folklore suggests that Detroit's founder, Antoine de la Motte Cadillac, was warned by a fortune teller that he would become face to face with the Nain Rouge and he would have to treat him with the utmost respect and attention. Except this information came straight through this ear and right out the other, because when he finally met up with this creature, he hit him with his crane and told him to get out of his way. This is when the angry imp cursed the entire city of Detroit and Cadillac as well. Shortly after, Cadillac would lose his fortune and have to move back to France. But misfortune still occurred in the city. It said that in all of the disastrous events that happened in Detroit, the Nain Rouge could be spotted just before each event. It also been seen during Detroit's riots of 1967 and 1976's ice storm that caused electricity to go out for days. Number 2, Chessie. Basically Maryland's very own version of Nessie or the Loch Ness Monster. Just like the beast from Scotland, Chessie is a large serpent-like creature that lurks in the depths of Chesapeake Bay. Witnesses claim that the monster is around 25 feet to 40 feet long, and it uses its body as a sine curve to swim around the water. The sightings began in 1977 when the mass hysteria hit the locals, believing the creature was truly out there, causing a massive disappearances and drownings. The sightings continued all the way to the late 80s when the hype finally died down. Perhaps Chessie just swam away from the area, or maybe it was just the 70s. Or maybe since it was the 70s, everyone just wasn't sober. Also, Steven Spielberg's Jaws came out in 1975, which could have added more paranoia towards the water, you know? At our number 1 spot, we have the Wendigo. This one is pretty much known to all North Americans, but it's still one of the most terrifying humanoids to ever exist. A Wendigo is said to be a very rare demon, and they're described as strong monsters that have powerful desire to kill and eat their victims. The legend states that a Wendigo can possess you and even turn itself into you if the person is greedy or weak and wandering the woods alone at night. There are multiple myths talking about what Wendigos look like, but majority of them describe them to look like an animal, but very tall and a skull as a head, long legs, and their whole body covered in hair and drenched in blood. They are said to be very fast with strength like no other, super healing, amazing sense of smell, and is even said to step on water. Jesus? So be very cautious next time you try to camp in this area. At our number 10 spot, we have the Mongolian death worm. The Gobi Desert, located between Mongolia and China, is said to have the Mongolian death worm, otherwise known as the intestine worm due to its appearance of being fleshy and red in color. This 2 to 7 feet long creature has the ability to spit out venomous liquid out of its mouth, and if you even get close enough to touch the creature, it's believed that the entire body is covered in this sticky, poisonous substance that will kill you just on touch alone. And if that wasn't enough, it can even electrocute you in the same way you can. While movies of the creature depicted as this large colossal being, it's believed to be a lot smaller at around 7 feet in its total length. But regardless, the fact that this creature can hide literally anywhere in the desert sands and come out basically whenever it wants, and it has no weaknesses, it makes it one of the most dangerous and scariest ones on this list. At number 9 spot, we have the Diaosi Gui. This mythical creature is also known as the Hanged Ghost, and it's said that the people who have taken their life through hanging or have been executed that way come back and become this vengeful spirit. They claim the spirit appears as a decaying corpse with a long red tongue that hangs far out of their mouth, never going back into their mouth. And let me tell you, these guys smell horrendous as well. So you could imagine how terrifying this would be to encounter. Except if you're a Kiss fan and you're used to this sticking tongue stuff. According to legend, these spirits will appear to unsuspecting people during night, usually by a tree or a building. Then they'll try to convince others to join them in the afterlife. So in China, it's best to avoid places where people have taken their life, because this is where these spirits tend to wander. If you decide to do the complete opposite, the creature will follow you around for your entire life, causing bad luck every corner of the way. At number 8 spot, we have the Akaname. The Akaname is straight out of Japanese myth. It's described to be this small goblin looking creature about the size of a child, except they're hideous. They have greasy slimy hair and their body is completely oily. If that didn't make you uncomfortable, maybe the fact that they use their long tongues to lick bathroom floors will. But don't worry, they won't appear in clean bathrooms as their dirty long tongues have nothing to lick. Instead, they target bathrooms that have been neglected and are dirty. So people, do yourself and everyone a favor and clean your bathrooms. Please. They lick and devour any of the filth, grease, hair, and waste that they come across, and the Akaname also chooses to stay away from humans, but instead they creep in the darkness and multiply at rates comparable to a disease spreading. They come in both one-eyed and two-eyed variations, which only adds to the fact that these are grotesque creatures. So I stress this again, clean your bathroom so we can all avoid these type of problems, including stuff with these ugly guys. At number 7 spot, we have the Jiangshi, also known as the Chinese hopping vampire. The Jiangshi comes from a phrase meaning stiff corpse. They are psychic vampire zombies. Yes, you heard that right. Who feeds off a person's chi rather than their blood. And for those who don't know, chi is considered to be a person's life force, which means that it's the energy that flows throughout your entire body, basically giving you life in a sense. So unlike the vampires we have over here in the West, the Jiangshi prefers not to consume humans or our blood, and they also aren't able to walk, so they are seen hopping around with their hands out in the front of them to maintain their balance. Many believe these creatures are created following a violent death, an improper burial, use of supernatural powers, or you get bit by another one. Remember, they're vampires and zombies, so don't get it confused. This is a horror hybrid of the century. At number 6 spot, we're the Sigbin. Straight out of my home country is yet another disgusting and hideous creature. This creature is said to have the appearance of a half hornless goat and half kangaroo, but when I look at it, I think of a chupacabra, but worse. It has the ability to use its long kangaroo tail to whip others with the force, able to knock someone out. They lurk mainly in the night and are known to hunt anyone or anything they see. They will use their sharp teeth to suck out the blood out of their victims, or they'll use it to seek out children to take their hearts just to use for decorations. So pretty horrible stuff, I know, I'm sorry kids. When they do walk around, they actually prefer to walk backwards with their head tucked between their legs like this. Locals in the Philippines claim that some people capture them and keep them as guardians for their property or in these very large jars. I have no idea what my people are doing, but yeah, let's not do this. In the hump of our list, we have the Jenglot. These are small creatures located in Indonesia, but mainly claim their presence specifically in Java. They take on the appearance of a deformed humanoid doll with long growing hair and long nails. The doll by itself causes no harm, but when you begin to feed the doll animal blood or even human blood, it will start to work as black magic. A Jenglot is believed to belong to the vampire family because of its main nourishment comes from the blood of animals or humans. The owner of the Jenglot must feed the creature with a drop of their blood each and every single day. If the owner fails to do so, it is believed that their loved ones will face dire consequences. The blood must not be fed directly to the mouth of the Jenglot, but instead be placed beside it. It's believed that the Jenglots are the spirits of those who passed away after they had practiced black magic in order to obtain everlasting life. Except when they're met with death, the earth would refuse to accept their body, instead turning them into this hideous bloodthirsting creature. At number 4, we have the flying head. This one is definitely the strangest one on this list, but it's still scary, so bear with me. The flying head, or the Shurubotoshi, is one of Japan's most craziest mythical creatures because it's literally literally just a floating head. It's believed to be an ancient deity that literally is just a flying head that goes around and eats people. They prefer to attack humans by surprise by hiding on the top of trees or in places where you're completely alone. When they catch up to you, they will drop quickly to the ground like a stone, either squishing you to death or trapping you in its mouth to chew you right after. Either way, you will pass away. If you do manage to evade them, they will stop at nothing to get you and will do so while laughing uncontrollably, which only makes this encounter that much more terrifying. At number 3 spot, we have the Taotie. These creatures from Chinese mythology are definitely one of the most hideous looking creatures from this list of creatures. And we know how beautiful China makes some of these creatures, so this one was just a surprise. They are considered to be one of the 4 evil creatures of the world due to its malevolence and destruction as a creature. If you ever wanted to see these boys in action, depiction of this creature would appear mainly on bronze artifacts, but that first glimpse of them on that movie was all we needed to know that these creatures are not good. At number 2 spot, we have the Tengu. If you ever seen this emoji, then you know what a Tengu somewhat looks like. These creatures live in the mountains and appear to have large feathery wings and wearing a monk robe. Based on the emoji, you already know that their face is red with a long nose and the head of a bird. Originally, the Tengu were seen as evil spirits that caused pure destruction and chaos everywhere they went. This was because Buddhist practices showed that the Tengu were demons and tricksters who opposed Buddha. Tengu were considered demons of death and destruction by Buddhists, but gradually softened into troublesome protectors of forests and mountains, which is the role they continue to play in Japanese folklore. I mean, they look pretty cool and I see it all the time every time I go on my keyboard, and it would be nice if they use them in a video game or something because they're pretty cool looking creatures. At number 1 spot, we're the Nian. To end our point, we got yet another Chinese mythical creature because there are just too many not to mention. The story of the Nian goes that they would feast on human flesh every single New Year's Day. On this day, they would come out of their hiding place in the mountains and raid villages, eat their crops, and when that wasn't enough, they would attack the humans. Except they would begin to notice that the creature would run away by the end of the night when they started to celebrate New Year's. They started to believe it was because they used a lot of the color red, which was the same color as the Nian, which could have acted as intimidation. They also noticed that fire and a lot of noise would scare away the creature, so every single year the festivals got bigger and louder to frighten the beast away for good. The Nian is described as being a flat-faced lion with the body of a bull and the horn of a unicorn, and ever since the Nian has been used during the festivals to commemorate the once terrifying creature.